What's up, everybody? And I have the man, Dr. Zaino, back into the studio this week. This is episode 2 of what right now is currently being called Hero Mindset. We don't have a name yet.
Yeah, we asked you guys, let's make it a competition.
Okay.
And so, how do you, when you do the how do you usually run the competitions? They submit, and the winner gets.
My competitions are usually like whoever has the biggest boobs wins, but we can't make it like that.
You know, that might be something we talk about, because, dude, you're fascinated with great boobs.
I am a boob man, but I like big butts too.
I love calves.
I like calves.
How
You don't see a lot of great calves.
Well, therefore, because usually, a good pair of legs makes a great asset themselves. So I feel like you never see great legs with a crappy ass, unless maybe you have.
Yeah, I mean, I coached for so long, and some of these Irish girls, Irish people are going to be offended right now.
Fucking let's get right to the racism.
Oh yeah, some of the I call it the Irish curse would have these like fantastic quads and just the flattest no booties.
Oh really?
Yeah. Actually, another one also, interestingly enough, a lot of soccer players would have great calves, but also no butts. But I think that it had more to do with they run so much. And a lot of them, if you watch a lot of soccer players, they run on their toes a lot.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of calf stimulation, but I don't think they were doing a lot of training specifically just for the glutes. So I've seen big booties on all different ethnicities, and I've seen small booties on all different ethnicities. So I can't make it too much of a racial thing. Although they will always say, for whatever reason, they always say that Brazilian girls have the best butts, and I actually disagree with that. I actually overall would say most of the best booties that I've seen have been on South American, but not specifically just Brazil.
Right.
Latinas, I guess, would be where I went with it.
Right.
But that could also be Puerto Rico, Cuba. I think it's just something with those, and then Italian, I guess, falls under that as well.
I mean, well, because then you could find a great butt in every ethnicity, so it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing to generalize, unless we're just going to put the Irish on the.
Well, they used to always say. Now you can't say stuff like this now because and everyone gets offended over everything now. But they used to say if you were like a guy with a big butt, they'd be like, oh, you got a booty like a black guy, or like, oh, that's like a black guy booty, and like now, if you said something like that, it's, I guess, offensive to everybody, because like I guess black guys could be like, well, why does a black guy have to have a butt like that? And white guys are going to be like, well, why can't I be white with a good butt? You can't say anything like that now.
But we can, and we will.
We can, yes.
All right, PJ, let's talk about this week, man. How you doing? And because you had some good mindset stuff in there. Because with this podcast, we want to do is again. So we're going please comment below on a name, and the winner of a good name that we decide, we'll have something cool. I'll personally add a personal one-on-one Zoom call with you, and I'll work over nutrition with you, mindset with you, business talk, whatever you want to do. So I'll dedicate an hour of my time. I charge well over $2,000 for that. So that's a good winning thing. And then PJ will decide something cool.
I'll send you some free products. We'll figure it out.
Which is great.
We went with Joe called it Hero Mindset because you have already done I Am Hero.
I Am Hero, yeah.
So it made sense. That was the easy first.
Right.
But we can spin it into, you guys tell us when you listen. I actually was going to use what happened this week really to see what you have experienced to compare to it.
Love it.
So I have to be somewhat vague, but I'm not going to be completely vague. So we are losing an amazing employee. And it is not because of personal differences or because he's fired. He is just moving in a different direction with his life.
Right.
And I was extremely, extremely nervous and concerned because he's such an important part of the company. But also, what was really kind of resonating with me more and more, even more so than that, was that because we've done so much together for so long, I couldn't really imagine my life without him. And he is truly one of my best friends in the world. So when we talked about, are you sure you want to do this? And I support his decision, and we're still going to be friends, you know. But I told him, and now I can, I guess, be a little bit silly about it. But it felt like being dumped, you know, like when you've been through a bad breakup or like a divorce, you know. And I had reached out to you about it, and I was curious.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I was curious if you've gone through something like that, and you know, tips for recovering, because I'm starting to recover now. Got some good advice. You were one of the people that gave me some great advice. My bookkeeper Cheryl gave me some really phenomenal advice. One of the things that she said though, and I don't know if I told you this or not. So Cheryl told me, because as a company we're going through a lot of really hard stuff, mainly the FDA case, which I know we always say like, oh, we can't really talk about it, but it's not like you guys don't know. We've been in this case for years. For years. 2023 we'll hit the 7-year mark, and then
That is incredible.
right? So and that's just extremely just draining,
Yeah, it's just
nonstop. It's also financially just brutal. And I have always said from the start, I believe that we're going to win, and I can take anything. I mean, it sucks. It beats the crap out of me, but I'll just keep on fighting. That's just who I am. My bookkeeper went through a similar situation, and with she and her husband, and she wanted to keep on fighting. But after a few years, they had a deposition, and she said that her husband came out, and he was just done. And he was like, "Get the checkbook. I'm just done." And you know, that wasn't really her decision, but she said not everyone has the same like mental strength to go through these things and be broken down over and over and over again. It's emotionally and mentally better for some people to just get out of those situations rather than stay in it. And to me, I was like, but that's like losing.
right.
And I hate losing. And I was also taking it probably more personal than I should have, which I also did in my divorce. And she said, if you really do love him the way that you say that you do, and you are best friends, now more than ever you should show him that. And I bet you that the separation doesn't last too long, and he needs you now more than ever.
Right.
So don't punish him for wanting to leave, because he's not leaving you as a friend. He just wants to go in a different direction, maybe in a less stressful place of work, because it is stressful. So after that, we had our discussion, and I said, you know, you're always going to be my best friend. And when I said that, I noticed he like sighed, and he was like, I was so worried that like you were going to like hate me over this. My initial reaction though was, why are you doing this to me? So I was curious, like, if you've ever been in a position like that, because when you, not to go on with this too long, but when you work with somebody every day, I mean, that's a deep relationship that you get into. You know, they have like this is my work wife or this and this, but if your whole life is your business, that's like your family. That's your best friend. That's your tightest relationship. So you know, it's mentally it was like super super hard.
Absolutely, PJ. And you know, when you work with someone like that, it's just when you're with someone for so long. It's a form of mourning, and what we talked about was sometimes you will mourn this more than breaking up with a girlfriend or a wife, because there's so many deep-rooted things that you're like, well, I got to replace this person, and this new person, like, they're not going to know all the ins and outs and the culture. You just see this future of, I got to rebuild this whole process. So it's extremely inconvenient. But at the same time, how many times do we stay in something, in a relationship, let's say, or you guys are watching, because it was convenient and you just wanted to avoid the little bit of pain of restructuring or reorganizing? And so that's what I explained to you. Now this spurred in your mind, well, we're going to restructure and reorganize. But now this reorganization that you're doing is really setting you up. And I always told people the first day I met him, like, this is going to set you up for the 9-figure company. And what I mean by 9-figure company is like, Blackstone will be that company. And it's like, well, this had to happen. It's going through the fire, but you know, like that purifies things. So yeah, I'm dealing with that right now. I love my office manager. She's great. But the entire staff, like, they're walking on eggshells around her, and I'm like, I'm going to get you to do your work at home. You cannot be in the office. It's like I'm just keeping her around because she's just been with me for 12 years.
But why are they walking in eggshells around her?
Because she's like, she means well and she bosses him around, but she's making somewhat senile mistakes. And they're like, you know, and I'm like, listen, you can't be the mama bear anymore. Like, so I'm gonna have a business. I'm just keeping her on payroll to have a little, like, to be my little assistant, but she could work from home because she can't be in the office because it's suffocating my new staff that want to grow. They're young, they have new ideas, and she jumps to conclusions and causes anxiety.
How long has she been there?
13 years.
It's a long time,
right? So it's like but it's all these little things that she knows that it's like, you know, I can't. So I'm changing her hat. I'm giving her this easier position, less stress-free, but, you know, you can't be around my new staff.
Do you think that she is going to be okay with that? Or?
Oh, she already knows. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. She already knows. I'm like, Carla, you know, that's her name. She can watch this. I go, I love you. And I even told her, I'm like, I'm never going to get rid of you. And she's the type where we could kind of fight, like family, you know, that thing, and it's okay. I'm like, I'm not getting rid of you. I'll change hats. Because she's just been so loyal. You ever know someone, like, we talked about loyalty. They might not do the best job, but the loyalty factor, when you're a business owner, the loyalty factor and the trust and loyalty. Like, you could be a C player, but that trust and loyalty means so much to me. And when we were talking about those things, we were talking about three things: trust, loyalty, and value. And that's what you're mourning. You have someone in your life that you could trust, right? They were loyal and they provided so much value.
Yeah.
So, like, how, on your hand, how many people could you say in a working condition had those three?
If my dad didn't work for me,
Right.
that'd be it.
Yeah. I can't even tell you relationships. My relationships usually break up because I can't trust you anymore. There's a loss of value to me, you, or society. They don't add value to society. Or loyalty issues.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like,
And no one is loyal now.
no, it's easy to just flake and do those things.
I'm glad that this was a direction that I didn't think that we would go into, because we could keep staying where we're at. But I'm glad you said that, the value aspect of it.
Yes.
Because when I first started dating Marissa, I said something to her that she didn't take offense to it, but it really shocked her that I said it. And she said, it's sad that you look at life like that. And I said, no, it's not. It's actually wise that I look at like this. And what I said was, relationships are all about what value does one person provide to the other. I go, for instance, like your mom and your dad. Like, your dad loves your mom. She loves him. Perhaps she cooks good dinner all the time. He keeps the roof over the head. They are providing things that keep things going. I said, most of my relationships now, I bring all the value to the relationship. And when I don't see value back from the other person, I have to get rid of them. And I do accept that 99% of the people that I meet, I'm going to be providing more, and I'm okay with that. But when the person provides so little or nothing, I have to get rid of them. And she's like, what if the person's nice? And I'm like, I got enough nice people around. And she was like, that's such a shitty way to look at it. I'm like, it's really not, though, because if you're meeting that many people in life, if you look up the definition of a relationship, though, what I'm saying is not off of the definition. You know, it's truly about the value that both sides bring.
And you're right. It doesn't, and it's also perceptual too, because, you know, financially, let's say that's one huge way you bring value in the relationship. But, like, for instance, my ex Whitney, you know, she raised 2 amazing children, huge value. Like so there's values that are coming together. But I know what happens when it's a very codependent and you're carrying someone on the shoulders. And, you know, it's a personal thing. Like, you feel it. You feel like the tables are really unbalanced here. And sometimes it's not value to you, but sometimes it's when they're not even bringing value to society. Like, someone who could benefit the world and not be parasitical. I know that's extreme, but sometimes there's just people that are takers, and they're not bringing value to the world. They're not contributing in some type of positive way, shape, or form. And then all of a sudden, you start to see it becomes like almost this one-way street. And it just, then you feel like you start resenting because you feel that you're compromising something here. And you shouldn't have to say, you know, this is how I want value exchange. Like, we shouldn't have to tell that person. That person should innately know, hey, listen, you know, I love when people do things when you don't ask them. They just do it either because they're creative, they're doing things out of the kindness of their heart. If they can't bring finances to the table, they're bringing other beautiful, creative things to the table. So it's just thoughtfulness, it's reverence, it's regard. Mm-hmm. And that to me is extremely valuable. And our values are different, everybody has a different set of values, but mine are definitely trust, loyalty, trust, man. Like that I could count on you. Like even PJ, if you say, listen, I'm going to go and get you that glass of water, it's like, where the hell's the glass? Even little things like that. Just I love that I could count on somebody.
Well, this particular person, outside of the loyalty, was doing so many things that we realized that the one silver lining, well, there's more than one silver lining, but the biggest silver lining at Blackstone Labs now is that there was poor communication. Mm-hmm. And so what we started doing was, a few months back, we started doing weekly marketing meetings. And what we would do is we would bring in the head of the call center, Billy, my dad, who's the head of wholesale, myself, of course, David, who's the head of marketing, and recently we started bringing Joe Reiser, head of videography, in on these meetings so everybody could know what everybody was doing, because sometimes, because David and I were in charge of marketing, we would come up with an idea for a sale. And we would love what we were going to do, and we're like, boom, we're going to put this out Monday. Shipping wouldn't be prepared for it, so they'd be overwhelmed. Call center wouldn't be prepared for people saying, oh, what's the sale? And it would cause a lot of issues. So what we started doing was having these weekly meetings where we wouldn't jump the gun too much, and they would also know, this is what these guys are planning. Maybe we can add something to it that'll make it better. And it actually helped out a lot, because those guys went to their departments and they talked a little bit more. So this particular person, we talk so much, and part of that is because of the fact that we're such great friends. But the big thing that you touched on is I trust him with everything. So when you trust somebody that much, you're going to ask them for more, because the job's going to get done.
Don't you realize that too? When I hire someone, PG, and you would feel the same. When I hire you, I have no filter. No, I'm like, listen, welcome aboard. I go, the greatest compliment I could give you is to trust you with more responsibilities. Mm-hmm. When you see me start taking responsibilities away from you, I go, be very, very scared.
Yeah. And I told my guys, and I don't know if you have conversations like this, I like to think that all true entrepreneurs, because everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, that's like the new thing, and it's in my bio on my Instagram, and there was a period where people would always refer to me. Well, there was two things, and I'm not going to segue into something else, where people would call me like a guru all the time, and I'd be like, please don't call me that. I happen to know a lot about bodybuilding. I don't like being called a guru and all-knowing. And I got called that for a while, and I know they mean it as a compliment, Then you have your guys that love being called the guru, So
significance.
One thing that I think does fall true to most entrepreneurs, so I will accept that if that's what my role is going to be, is you don't believe in a time schedule. I don't. So there's basically 4 guys that are going to be taking over the work of one person. However, this one person is outstanding at delegating like I am. So they were actually doing a lot already. Now he's just giving them those extra responsibilities. So knowing that made me feel very comfortable. But what I told them in our meeting yesterday, I was like, you guys can take this any way you want it. And I will respect your time when I know your times. But for me, it's 24/7. So Saturday nights, Sunday nights, Monday mornings, I'm always working. And if you're going to be a main part of Blackstone Labs, it's not a 40-hour-a-week job. Now, I'm not going to abuse that. So you guys tell me your times. For instance, Billy Gagliardo, the head of my call center, he goes to bed at 9 o'clock. And that's really early. However, he's up at 5. Mm-hmm. So most of the important stuff that we do is super early in the morning before anybody's even awake. And I'm cool with that because everything's getting done and we respect each other's time. David, on the other hand, is a late guy. So a lot of the stuff we were doing is 11 or 12 o'clock at night. Now, most people I know, they have like the 10 o'clock, I'm not going to talk on the phone anymore, or I'm going to go to bed. And I respect that. So these guys, I told them, you tell me your times. Are you in bed at 10? Are you up at 6? Whatever it is, I need to know those times. And if you let me know in advance what you got going on the weekends, I won't start freaking out when you're not responding back to me. And they all understood. And the big thing with that was this one person, I just knew. If he was on a date, and perhaps this was a negative thing about what we were doing, but if he was on a date, he would say, I got to take this.
Right.
You know, but that's part of the reason why this company got so far and we got so much done. We both shared that obsession with getting things done. Yeah. Now, some of the new guys, and this is also, I believe, a little bit more of a millennial thing. Mm-hmm. If their job says I work Monday through Friday from 10 to 4, that's when they work. Mm-hmm. Then it's boop, I'm done after that. And I had to explain to the guys it doesn't work that way here. And I didn't want to scare anybody in any way. That's why I said I will absolutely respect your time. But these are things that we're going to have to know, because I don't want to ask for something over and over again and wait for days. Because if it's something that I'm doing for somebody else, I actually find that embarrassing. And I do think that a true, entrepreneur, like business owner, when you have a customer or somebody that's waiting for you, you want to give that back to them as soon as possible.
Speed is very important.
Now that we have all this new communication, and now I actually understand that a lot of the guys were doing things that I didn't even know that they were doing. Now I feel very comfortable, and I actually feel that this is going to be very beneficial to the company. It doesn't take away the sadness over this gentleman not being here, but he actually said something to me that was pretty interesting, and I think it shows a lot about how good of friends we are. He said that he was also sad, and he said, but I know that I'll feel better as soon as you or your dad reach out to me, for help for something. And the fact that that matters to him, because there are certain things that we know that this is going to be the guy that we got to ask. Yeah. And him not only saying that he's still going to be there, which he's such an honorable guy, I know that he will be, but him saying that that's important to him, I think that was very calming also, knowing that. Yes. You can't, they always say, I've gotten to this discussion with people, they always say that everyone is replaceable, right? But I know I'm not replaceable here. And I believe so much in this person and what we did together that replacing him with another one person, probably not going to happen. Getting his work done with a number of people, likely for sure. But I'm not just going to flop another one of him in, because if I would have found him a while ago and we'd be making a lot more money right now. And I've been saying that for years.
You just hit on something that, like, you see how, like, that cliche phrase that everybody's replaceable, money doesn't grow on trees. Like, just think all the bullshit we heard. But in true success, it's absolutely the opposite. So what you just said was absolutely correct, because what determines someone's income and impact is, number one, the value you give, the overvalue you give to someone. Watch this. The ability to provide that service. So let's say I do something like stem cells. So a lot of people do stem cells, but when I study and I become really proficient and really just that 2% razor's edge more competent and just have just a better strategy, just even better, because I study, I put my whole heart and soul in it to the point where I just do it better. And the third factor is how hard it is to replace yourself.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this right now, you want to keep a job, you want to worry about nothing, almost be the person that can't be replaceable. And that is very important. So you're right. Not everybody is replaceable. And when you can make yourself, because you study and you do your job so well and you offer so service at such a higher level, it's very hard to replace you.
Yeah.
And then, like, we saw this in oil and gas in Texas. When the economy was going down, some of the oil and gas, they were releasing 50% of their staff. But let me tell you, the people who were hard to replace because they gave great value and they knew what they were doing, their job, they didn't have anything to worry about.
Yeah.
So that's great. I'm glad we talked about that. So if you're watching this right now, no matter where you're at, I don't care if you flip hamburgers, be the best hamburger flipper. But the thing is, when you're good at your job and your service that you provide, you could do it quicker and more efficient. It makes you very difficult to replace. And then you're not going to, like, you'll be the last, like, you're not going to go. Because, like, if we need only 3 staff person, we're definitely keeping that person.
Yeah, and like what you said earlier, if you're giving somebody more responsibilities, they should take that as a compliment. Not as a, oh, great, I have more work to do. It means you are that reliable and you're that trustworthy that I want to expand your role more. And that's what happened to a couple of the guys here is they not only is their role being expanded, a couple of the guys I actually saw stepping up right away. And I told them, I said, this past week I've seen what you guys are doing, and I appreciate it. And that made them feel really good. And then you know what? You have people that you think are going to perhaps be better than they are, and they disappoint you. But in this company, we have had most of the staff for a long time. So to take somebody out in certain positions and think that you're just going to pop a new guy right back in, very difficult. Now, call center, on the other hand, that's one spot. So people always say to me, how do I work at Blackstone Labs? How do I work at Blackstone Labs? Like, I mean, we're really not hiring. Like, there's not a lot of people that are hiring during the state of the world right now. However, call center. If you can sell as much as I'm going to pay you, I'll bring on as many guys as you want.
Yeah, would you say, PJ, that's one of the greatest skills to know is how to sell? Because we're always selling ourselves. I'm selling myself to you. I'm selling myself to you right now. It's not just for a trade of a commodity. It's like we're always selling. We're always trying to show our point. So I believe, I watched the real Jordan Belfort, the real Wolf of Wall Street guy, and he's like, it is if you have that skill, that's one of the things that if you could sell, it's something that you'll always be able to provide.
Yeah, and some guys just have it because we have a couple guys here that are always just good, but I don't believe that you can't learn to become a much better salesman because most of sales, and there'll be guys that'll and I'm open to you guys debating this.
Yeah.
Most of sales, at least especially in this industry, but I've talked to people in other industries, they say the same thing. It's like a machine that you put a $20 bill in and you're going to get this $20 product back. You put the $40 bill in and you're going to get the better product back. And that truly is how sales goes. Because I had a guy who was decent. And then he started slacking a little bit. And you could tell his personal life was kind of getting a little thrown off. I had to talk with him. I'm like, listen, man, you're slacking a little bit. Didn't do anything about it. Started going kind of backwards. And then we had basically a time where we sent him home for a week and said, get your shit together and come back. Whatever happened in that week, if it was just the wake-up call that he needed, he came back with authority and has been excelling every single month for over a year. So it wasn't like perhaps it was that fear, but what in that moment of fear made him get that much better? He must have took a look at himself at what he was doing and figured out how to way to be better at it. And he went from being a mid-tier guy that was slacking to the top.
Sometimes, PJ, the greatest thing in life is having a moment of disgust. Like, shit, I'm going to lose this. And it happens in a millisecond. Yeah. It's the person who loses 120 pounds. They're like, they've been dieting. How come they lost 120 pounds this time? They looked in the mirror and there was a point where they were just so fucking disgusted. And it was like that.
That's what happened to me when I went through my divorce, right? You go through these different phases where the initial phase is like, oh, my heart's broken. Let me just cry all the time. And then, you get in the anger phase. And then if your divorce is drawn out, then you get into the I'm miserable, I hate my life phase. And that's when a lot of people get into substance abuse. I was drinking a lot during that phase. And what happened to me was, and the disgust that I'm going to talk about is a little bit different, is once I got out of the hospital, right? And I've said it before, I never used the term luck, but I got really lucky that I didn't die. And I saw the reactions of my mom and my dad and David, my VP, and my best friend, and they all had the same reaction of fear and just that how scared they were that I was going to die. And at that moment, it was disgust, but it was shame, which they kind of fall into a similar category. I was so ashamed that I was like, I'm never going to make people think like that of me ever again. And that was when I flipped it. And the past 3 years have been just kicking ass. And I'd rather prove myself through actions, but that was my version of my rock bottom wasn't necessarily when I almost died. It was thinking about what I did to everybody. And I could have ruined this company. I could have made all these people not have jobs. And here they were just scared. You know, I'm sure they were worried about their jobs, but here they were just scared of me. Like, what's going to happen to this guy? That was the only time I've ever been like disgusted with myself.
Because you know what you were doing with the alcohol, you thought, well, I'm just self-pacifying myself and what I'm going through, and we fail to realize like all these people are counting on you.
Yep.
And you're like, whoa. So it's like self-sabotaging you, no big deal. It's me on me.
Yeah.
But wow, I let this person down. Oh my God, I let this person down. It's like, oh, and then you see that they care, and then you're like, what am I doing? Why did I do this? And then it's just something, because sometimes we all need to know that, you know, we are cared for. We hear that, oh, I care, but no, but like when you really felt wow, these people care for me. So that love pulled you out of it, man.
Yeah.
Love changed you. And that's the beauty of it. That's why in life, when you really realize that everything you're going through, you're in the exact right place now, because it's part of a formula or a part of a transformation that, if perceived correctly, is for the benefit.
Yeah.
And I think if we don't learn how to look at any bullshit as a benefit, then you're going to always be in a victim mentality. Where like, I'm in the zone where I grieve, I get pissed off, but then, you know, I let that emotion out, and then I'm like, how am I going to flip this? What is this teaching me? Like, okay, we're going to reorganize. We're going to have a structure now. So all these, you can see all the beautiful things coming out of this. And so that's why when anybody watching, no matter what it is, when you can start seeing that, and then you see like, wow, this is this uncomfortable moment for bettering my evolution and forward progress. Then you are totally grateful for all things. And when you're grateful, or in a state of gratefulness, you're also in the state of receiving.
Yeah.
Right? And this is, guys, I'm telling you, like, same situation, COVID, absolutely, we're so grateful for it. I mean, like, I could tell you it's been amazing, because it would fast forward a lot of stuff that I was thinking about doing, that I'm like, shit, we got to do it. But I kicked and screamed a little bit, but I'm so grateful for it now. It allowed me to take more risk. You know, I lost a lot of stuff. I noticed, PJ, I lost a lot during this COVID bullshit, and losing a lot, allowed me to be like, well, I'm still alive. And it allows, because I was I didn't want to take risk, but now I'm very comfortable with taking risks now for opportunity, because I'm like, all right. So
for me, I noticed that a lot of people that thrive in structure, COVID was very, very hard on them. And I thrive in structure. I just figured out I got to do some totally different things, you know? And I really saw those people suffering a lot. And I always try to reach out, and I can sense when somebody has anxiety issues like I do. And it's not like when people are like, oh, I have anxiety, I have a test tomorrow. It's way different.
It's a real fucking thing.
It's way, way different when you have, you know, like generalized anxiety disorder, and you have to take medicine for it. And it often comes with depression, which I never take my depression medicine. And that's probably why my anxiety is crazy. But you get into these rituals that make your life better. So when COVID happened, it took a lot of those people and said, fuck your routine. You got to come up with something new. And the ones that didn't really, really struggled. But, you know, I had said in the beginning, I'm like, look, people are going to figure out how to work this, and then those are going to be the ones that thrive. And that's what you have to do. Now that we're past this main lockdown and everything else, it's a very different state of the world. And getting back to, this is actually a great segue. So getting back into what we started talking about earlier, I had told some of the guys, I said, I can have a one-on-one talk with everybody about this, but I hope that they don't think that this one gentleman leaving means that they're each going to get raises automatically because there's money to be freed up now. Because I would love it if it would work so simple like that. But we are still doing everything that it takes to pay this FDA case and everything else. And people need to, I feel that people need to really prove themselves before they just get, okay, here's some extra work, here's your extra pay.
Or here's some extra pay, now you can do this extra work.
Yeah.
Because, I've never seen that like, well, if I add more, you think, well, I add more wood to the fire. No, it doesn't work that way. More money doesn't equal more productivity.
And I knew that some of the guys, which no one said anything to me, but I knew that some of the guys might be a little upset about that. But here's the reality of it. And this is what I actually told this to David and my dad the other day. Right now is a really, really hard time to look for a job. So you have a chance for sure. If you've got a lot of balls, if you're a risk taker, you've got some capital that you can go and invest in yourself and try to start your own enterprise. You can make it happen. It's hard, but you can make it happen. But if you're just looking to go from I'm doing this technical position at this job to somewhere else, good luck, because most places aren't hiring right now. So if you've got a good solid job right now, you should appreciate it, do the best that you can with it, and do what it takes to thrive in your position so the whole company can thrive.
Or like we were saying before, like invest in yourself, like invest in sales programs. I'm telling you, if you get a little bit better on positioning the sale, closing the sales, looping around to hit objections before, like everybody can learn this stuff and just if you get 20% better times a year, it's tremendous.
Yeah.
Like you are so valuable. Let's say we go back to value. It's like, so like for me, like if you're a good salesperson, I'll hire 40, because everybody's producing way more than they're getting paid. So that's one thing. So if you're watching, I think that could transmute into anything that you're doing. Plus, if you're going to go into your own business, you got to really be good at that too.
Absolutely. Right, we use, and so many companies use the same software, so you can figure it out. So we use Shopify, right?
Yeah.
And one of the guys in the chat that started really excelling he was using Matrillo. And without, I guess, blowing up his his leads, because everyone can use it. Everyone has access to it, but he was really going back in there more and more and more and finding. So
this is a CRM?
Yeah. And so he was finding out more about what customers had bought before, when they bought them, and he was educating himself on the customers way more. And everyone can do that.
Yes.
You're not just working the cash register, Yeah.
It's a silver, like they're giving you everything on a silver platter. Go, this person likes that green shirt and a V-neck. Like, all right, here we go.
And that's one thing that I think anyone can do. Now, depending on what you're selling, some people have to sell much harder things than others, which is also why different companies have different commission structures, of course. Now, at Blackstone Labs, it's a fairly easy sell because the products work. And usually people take them and they're like, okay, this product worked really good, better than anything else I've taken. I want to keep taking more. But that doesn't mean there's still not endless amounts of the industry that we haven't tapped into. And your job is to not only get these new people, but make sure that they're happy and keep them consistent. Now, we do have a high retention rate, but I've seen over the years some guys do average numbers, and anybody that really just doesn't do good numbers just doesn't stay here. Right. And then I've seen some people truly excel, where they're head and shoulders above of the other people. And I have said, if different people have been able to do that at different times, then I believe they all have the ability to do it. They just aren't.
And what I found with that, PG, and everybody who's listening and watching, sometimes if you're not studying and understanding the customer better, you really go heavy on features and benefits. And features and benefits, it's nice, but it really doesn't sell anything. But what really sells is if I'm personally using the product and I personally have experience with the product and I'm excited about that product, my story, the contextual framing of, then they're buying my experience with the product. They're like, oh shit, I'll try that.
Yeah.
Like, like when I go to, I'm on an airplane and the guy goes, I'll tell you this. Got bumped up to first class, and this 60-year-old guy, he comes out and he says, hey, can I ask you a question? Like, do you know anything about Winstrol? I'm like, do I? I go, I'm taking it right now, So it's like, so we got to talking because it was very transparent, and he went to the clinic, the Cancun clinic, got 200 million IV stem cells, got stem cells in his right shoulder, and we put him on, we were able to get the legalized year supply of growth hormone for youth and vitality, $50,000, because he believed my experience, and I have experience. So
and the transparency.
There was no close. There was no like, okay, this is right. I do the close. It's just talking to me and just my experience, and said, here, email here's the doctor. I'll hook you up with a consultation. And he just wanted he didn't want a miracle. He just wanted at 60. He's like, if I could just have a better. They're looking for an edge. A couple of, and it just I was like, how easy was that? It's like, because why? Because I'm living it. I'm using the product. I'm excited about it. And that enthusiasm is contagious.
Yes.
So I feel if a salesperson has a lot of personal life stuff going on and they come to work, they'll say the words, but the enthusiasm's not there. I tell all my staff, I took all the chairs away and I have standing desks. Because I'm like, I need you standing. I need your energy up, because when you see that enthusiasm go down, and then you could hear in their voice and the energy's low, it's not motivating someone. It's not a good representation of Blackstone Labs. The words might be nice, but the enthusiasm behind it. Just thinking about Sammy. On his Instagram stories, he loves his product. He loves it. I'm like, shit.
He was the best call center rep that we had ever had.
Shout out to Sam. See, dude. See, we both recognize that.
And
right?
he was so. Usually, when somebody is that good in a department that's important to us, we want them to keep excelling there. But he was so good that he knew that he was that good. And he came to me and he said, I want to wholesale products. And I was like, well, it's a lot different than what you're doing now. And he was like, I mean, how long am I going to have to prove myself for to have the opportunity? And I decided to give him the opportunity, and he kicked ass in wholesale. And, he is somebody that he's very driven by his personal goals, which I think is very important. So I believe that he would, when he's passionate about a product, because he's passionate about bodybuilding, he's passionate about Kratom, I think that he's going to get really deep into it and use that enthusiasm no matter what. Now, on the flip side, people have asked me before about perhaps me versus, I don't want to give an example like the Gorilla Chemist. He's brilliant and he's great. But people have asked me, how come when you say something, it's so much easier to understand? And what I tell them is, we both perhaps believe in the product the same way, but I'm so excited about it that I want to make sure everybody understands how awesome it is. So I oftentimes, and I hate using this phrase, dumb it down just to make sure you know. Yeah. And some people don't have the ability to do that. So some people are just reciting what's in the textbook. And that just goes over a lot of people's heads. If you could simplify it a little bit better and make them see like, wow, this is really awesome. I should be doing this. Because people ask me about some of my products and they're like, who should take this? I'm like, everyone. Yeah. And they're like, really? I thought it was just for, bodybuilders or just for this. And I'm like, no, everyone should take it, and this is why. And then they get excited too. But I don't even foresee myself ever being back on the sales side ever again. Yeah. I'm just selling really myself because
education.
I love what I do. This, I wasn't going to even bring this up, but I want to read you this email that I got today.
And when you bring up that email, and anybody who's watching it, because I want to make sure this is applicable to you guys, if you find that something's not driving or you're in a slump, tape record yourself. There might be either something polarizing or confusing.
Yeah.
Because a confused mind cannot buy. Because when someone gets confused, they can't make a decision. So sometimes when you say too much, you create confusion. Where when PG says dumb it down, it's not dumbing it down. It's making it understandable in one track. So there's not confusion.
Yes.
And I really think that that's why when I say numbers, I say specific. I don't be like, try that for 10 or 14 days. Is it 10 or is it 14?
Yep.
No, try it for 10 days. It's just you don't want any confusion whatsoever, and it makes it much easier to make a decision.
It's funny with the numbers. I used to tell people, because a lot of people when they were on their meal plans, they would say, my coach says to have green veggies, okay. And that's such a broad statement, right? So at one point I started telling girls you could have 8 asparagus spears, and it turned into, I don't know if you've seen, but they have these monstrous asparagus spears. And so I had a girl that sent me a picture of those versus the really, really, really skinny ones. Yeah. So I was like, just eat a cup of them, okay? I was like, I was trying to make it simpler for you. But if we're going to get so deep into the size of the asparagus spears and then weighing them out, how about you just weigh out a cup? But by doing it like that for people and simplifying it, I have seen plans where it's like, okay, I can do this or this or this for my cardio. I can eat this or this or this. And when I see those, I immediately say no. I said, listen, I can do that because I've been doing this for 30 years and I've figured it all out. I know exactly what the breakdown, everything is. You're trying to look a specific way. This is all new for you. You want it as simplified as possible so then you can't make the mistakes. And there will be other coaches that are like, well, I give my people variety and this and that. But when you take anybody that's new or learning and you try to throw too much of them at once, you're making it too hard. It doesn't need to be too hard. I got this email today, and I love the Beat PJ. So we weren't doing any Beat PJ stuff today. The finale is coming up soon, but it's my favorite thing that we do.
So as of right now, time wise, like this will air differently. How long are you into the contest right now?
So this podcast will end today, Wednesday, and it'll be out by the weekend.
Yes.
And the Beat PJ is over April 22nd.
Okay.
So they're in the final stretch.
Yeah, this is it.
So we get so many emails like this. And I'm not going to say the gentleman's name. But this is why this is my favorite thing that we do. Hi, PJ. My name is blank. And I just wanted to reach out with a huge thank you for putting on the Beat PJ contest. Words in this email can't even describe how much entering this contest has done for me this year. I was completely lost, lackluster, and unmotivated in many aspects of life. These past few years have been hard, but seeing this contest posted back in November really lit a fire for me. It allowed me to open my mind back up, get my ass in the gym, and put 100% into something other than eating a paycheck and my family. Win or lose, just know for your contest and your company's love for the community, it's really bigger than you, I think, imagine. You're inspiring people daily, whether you know it or not. Once again, thank you so much for not only a great opportunity to win some prizes, but thank you from the bottom of my heart and from my families for helping me refine who I am over this process. Hopefully, my transformation shocks your judges as much as your contest has helped me. Keep Blackstone growing forever. And you now have a forever customer and supporter for life. And I love when I get a message from somebody that says, and we get these a lot, that either their marriage got better or they felt they were a better parent just because of what they got into diving into bettering themselves in the BPG, because that's all it's about. I've told people for years, because there's always at the end, there's always, no matter what, many contests like this, there's always people that are like, that person doesn't look good, I look better. And I always explain to them, it's not the who has the best body contest. It's the best overall transformation contest. So perhaps this guy was really, really skinny, put on a lot of muscle. Perhaps somebody was really, really overweight and lost a lot of weight. It could be all over the place. It's not who just has the best body at the end. And sometimes the people that start out look pretty good.
Yeah.
So the judges are looking like, oh, he looks pretty good to start. Yeah, he looked great at the end. But the actual transformation wasn't the best. So when you're going through a transformation like this, especially for somebody that's never done anything like this before, you have the ability to transform your entire life into a much better and more positive thing. And it's kind of like what you said on the last podcast, you said that you're here to resurrect heroes, right?
Yeah.
I love the aspect of taking somebody that didn't think that they could be anything special and showing them not only are you special, but now you're putting it on to everybody else in your life. And those people usually stay hooked after that.
And the huge key, and it's not a secret, but it really is a secret because people don't see it this way. I've helped a lot of the CEOs I consult. It adds a zero because they're looking for a good mindset trip to get more income and stuff like that. I'm like, well, let's start with your body first. Like, no. I'm like, no, let's start with your body first because usually they're successful in one area, but their body's shit. And I'm like, I'm going to show you just getting your body back, exercise, stuff like that. It's going to elevate your vibration or frequency of your mind. You're going to feel better, think better, be grateful, and watch, you'll add another zero every time it works. Absolutely. I get their chemistry right. I get their, I get to do whatever it takes. But we got to understand, what is a feeling? A feeling, whether we say I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm depressed, all it is we're labeling a vibration. That's our way of labeling the vibrational state we're in. So when I'm happy, joy, grateful, love, I'm sad, depressed, frustrated, scarcity, poverty mentality. Like we're just labeling a vibration we're in. So I realized that, PJ, like if we drink alcohol or if we eat shit food, the next morning, like you wake up sluggish, tired, brain fog, right? We see all these words, and I realized, oh my God, food could change the vibrational state I'm in. So I saw it as like, this is so sabotaging my ability to attract or be on the frequency to be successful. So I realized if I could just help that person nutritionally, or when you exercise, you feel better, you don't sabotage, and then help get their hormones and chemistry right and the stem cells to regenerate. They literally think they're like tuned into a different radio station. They're gracious. They see they're positive again. It's spreading out, affecting the marriage. Everything starts to get better, and they feel they're starting winning, but they were always winning. They just turned it on.
Yeah.
So, and they did nothing different at work. It was just working on them physically. So you want to brain hack your mind and be successful, you got to get the body first. Mm-hmm. That's why, like, what you're doing not only with Blackstone and you're helping someone go, they think they're doing this transformation for their body, but they're going to realize the biggest impact was going to be the relationships. They're bringing their A game to work. The confidence and self-esteem, they look good in clothes. Let me tell you, you put on a good suit, like I always compliment PJ suits, you change, right? Mm-hmm. So bring all that and you level up. You're more attractive to people. You walk in a room, people, they sense the different state you're in. And it's attractive and it's persuasive in a good way. And you get it, and that's what gets you hooked. Yeah. Because I'm telling you, I just remember, I remember it was the day after Thanksgiving. I texted PJ. I'm like, dude, I have done days of recreational drugs, and shit food was way worse than a hangover. Because I realized, like, horrible. So that was that moment. I really sunk into me. I'm like, what I eat and how I take care of my body will either will block me from success or put me in the state or in the opportunity to have success. And that's what this guy found out. It went to all areas of his life. He's so grateful, and that's going to be hooked.
I tell them every year because let's say we have at the end of this 225 people that stuck it out, right? So last year I think we started with like 500. In the end there was like 220. People fall off. But anyone that stuck it out to the end, you won already. You won no matter what. No matter what your placing is. Yes, of course you want to win that prize money. But if you stuck it out and you bettered yourself in that sense, you already started on the path of winning. Yeah. And more positively going to start, because most people, when they're sad or complaining or depressed, right, when they start telling you all of their different problems, many of them are not, like you said, eating the right way, right? And that's something that you can control. You can't really control if your husband's cheating on you, or if maybe if you're doing a bad job, you control that you're getting fired at your job. But there's a lot of outside circumstances that you can't control. So what can you control first? Jen and I were talking about this the other day. You can absolutely control everything that goes into your body. So you start by controlling that and watch what happens. All of a sudden you're looking better, feeling better, and you're getting control, which I think when people start feeling like they don't have control, anxiety, depression, things like that start getting haywire, and then everything else starts falling apart.
Absolutely.
So that's the opposite side of it.
How about that idea, guys? Like if there's a circumstantial thing going on, you could get a little, I give myself 5 minutes to get pissy and go through this. I could do all 5 stages of grieving in like a minute. But then it's like, okay, I can't control this stuff. So what can I do? What can I do to get on? So then you go internal, and so, okay, I'm going to start. I always say I always start with movement first, like get like physical, and then that's something you could control. I could control what I put in my mouth. I could control if I could climb a stair. The gym was closed, go up a flight of stairs 100 times, right? So a lot of times when you go internal like that, like PJ's right, you change that inside, and then all those circumstances don't have as much of a hold on you, or it keeps you in that level of, I mean, like, imagine, talking to someone who's depressed and burnt out. It's like, it's just, I don't want to be around this person,
No, and they get really offended when you tell them that I've won.
Right.
But here's the thing. The frequencies that we've been talking about, you're attracting people on those frequencies, right? So a lot of people will find out this year, they're going to find out how you and I became such good friends. And, once I start telling those stories, they're going to be like, oh, but when we did become really good friends, all of these positive things started happening, and then completely different people started coming into my life because I had been on just the wrong energy channel for a while. And I was depressed, and I was frustrated, and I was angry. And I can say that all of the people that I've met in the past few months have been very similar and positive people. And the ones that come to me, now I'm able to see it way more clear. The ones that come to me where I haven't heard from you in 3 weeks, maybe I haven't heard from you a month, maybe it's 2 weeks, and you're coming to me to tell me how brokenhearted you are or how upset you are because, your boyfriend cheated on you or something like that. And it's like the 5th time you've told me that. Now I have had to tell those people where before I would have listened to it. I'm sorry, but I can't listen to this. And they get really offended. And they're like, why? I thought you were my friend. And I said, I am or was your friend. Until I started realizing that you only reach out to me to bring me negativity about something that I have nothing to do with at all. And I've already given you some input. So my position is not going to change. So you to keep bringing your negativity to me over and over again, it's bringing me down. And I would prefer to not have that around. So I have sometimes said it in a meaner way than that. I've just straight up said, I don't want to listen to this. Sorry. And it's been women. Each woman that I've said that to has said, I thought you were different. And I said, no, I guess so. But I'm definitely not the guy that you're going to once a month call or start texting about how brokenhearted you are.
You're not an emotional tamper.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but I'm a very busy man, and I have to be selective with who I talk to, and I'm surely not going to sit and listen to you cry about the same thing over and over again that's in your power to change. And it's been kind of funny. I should have did some sort of data collection on this. 90% of the women that I've said that to disappeared forever, which is fine. They're only bringing negativity in. And then the other 10%, they sort of flipped a little switch. And they actually started getting better in their own personal lives, which I think is great. Not saying it had anything to do with me, but maybe they figured, well, I'm not going to bring this to PJ anymore because he doesn't want to hear it. And I have decided at this stage in life, everything that I've been through, I am not going to entertain any kind of negativity like that. So if it's not my mom or my dad telling me about some stuff in my family, I'm not going to sit and have negative conversations because it's just bringing me down. I prefer the frequency that I'm on now.
Yeah. And that's absolutely amazing. That's one of the big six fears of life is what other people think. So the reason why I'm hanging in there is I want this person to like me. I don't want to let them down. But you're absolutely correct because for that hour, it's your energy and you're exhausted after it.
Yeah.
So, when you're exhausted, it's not because you're tired, guys. It's because you're unaligned. You're not aligned right. And that's where burnout, there's no burnout. We have enough energy in our cells. Remember, you split one atom in an atomic bomb, and we're made up of trillions of atoms. So when you're finding that tired and burnout or this conversation totally exhausted me, it's not an alignment. That's the truth, and your body doesn't lie. Body keeps score.
Yeah.
Body keeps score.
And this conversation's actually woke me up because I was tired today. And we started out on a bit of I knew we were going to spin it positive, but we started out on a sad time.
But it's a real thing.
Yep. And now a lot of positivity has come out of it.
And it definitely is, man. This is just such good. So PJ, I know we'll do part 2 after this, but so let's do a closing final words.
Well, I can summarize real quick that we gave some very good, not just business, but life advice. And again, it goes back to the mindset, right? Being in the right mindset, which sometimes the littlest things can make you perceive a situation the wrong way. And so one of the things I think is very important for anybody that listens to this is to not just look directly at yourself for the negatives, but also look at yourself for the positives. So when something bad happens, you can't immediately think, why did this happen to me? What did I do wrong? Why is this happening to me? Why? That's human nature. But you also have to look at this happened because of this. This happened because of this. So this is what we're going to do now to fix it and make it better for the future. And that's how you really improve and succeed in everything.
Yeah, like I love it. Like no event goes without a learning. Like I got to learn something from it. Otherwise, because it's totally wasted if you don't get something out of it. So what role did I play? Where can I take better ownership? And usually like, oh, okay, I see where I could have done a little bit better. Just a little. It's the pivots. It's tuning a violin, little tunes here and there, and then it becomes beautiful music.
Yeah. You know what? I got to add this story.
Let's do it.
This
story of PJ. I love these stories.
I thought we were ending it, but this is just a great. This is on the subject of frequency.
Yeah.
So recently on my Ask PJ, somebody asked me the question was sort of funny. The way he worded it was like, when did you? It was like, when did you decide that you wanted to make millions? And I was like, well, I really can't say that I've made millions, but I can tell you a book that I read that was pivotal for me. And it was called The E-Myth Revisited. Mm-hmm. And the woman who gave it to me, I don't believe I said her name on the show, but I said how much I appreciate she gave it to me. I don't want to blow up her spot on it. She gave it to me in my first year of business. And I realized there were so many things that I just wasn't doing right. Mm-hmm. But I made the adjustments. And the book is all about, to summarize the book, it's about how everyone believes that they're an entrepreneur, but really people fall into three categories. Managers, the entrepreneur category is the smallest one, and technicians. Most people are technicians. So you might be really, really good at baking cakes. So you think, I'm going to start a cake baking company, but you don't know the first thing about business, right? So anyway, I was talking about how after I read that book, we went from 1.2 million to 9.8 million the next year, and how much I appreciate that book. It was a fantastic read. I actually went back and read it again. People should go out there and read it. Now, I have not spoken to that woman in years. Mm-hmm. Well, on Sunday. This Sunday, she texted me out of nowhere and said, hey, do you run your LinkedIn? And I was like, first of all, hi. Holy crap. I go, did you happen to see my IGTV from a couple weeks ago? She was like, no, send it to me. She was like, but anyway, I wanted you to see, I sent you a video on LinkedIn. Michael Gerber is speaking. He's actually going to be in Florida, and Michael Gerber is the guy that wrote the E-Myth Revisited. So I haven't spoken to this woman in years. She gave me a book that changed my life. I recently talked about it, and without speaking again for all this time, she wanted to let me know that the guy that wrote the book is down here, and I can go meet him. And I had no idea that that's what she was even going to contact me about. So I sent her the podcast before she had sent me that. Right. So when she got it, she was like, oh, so you watched it? And I go, no, I didn't. And she goes, go open it. When I opened it, I was like, wow, that is so mind-blowing. Yeah. But that just shows you when you're on the right frequency, you're just attracting, the right energies and the right people in. I thought that stuff like that, you could say like, oh, the universe is working in whatever way you want. Stuff like that really makes me excited.
Oh, and when you realize it's always working for you, and then the whole law of attraction thing, there's a lot of action behind it. Like, so there's action. It's just not coming to you. There's actions that are leading to actions that open the opportunities, right? So I want everybody to know there's action by. But I think the inspired thought, the inspired ideas come in, get you excited, and it causes you to get ideas to act. Mm-hmm. So actually you work harder than most people because you just have these really cool inspired ideas to take action, but the action of it is exciting. So the act of doing the action is rewarding and exciting. So you get the reward by doing it. So that's why you're working. That's why you're on Sundays. You're talking to people because it's not like I got to work and push and bench press. No, it's like, no, I got a great idea, and it's fun. It becomes fun and exciting.
You want it.
Yes. And that's the difference. All right, man.
Well, I don't think you could say it better than that at that point.
Dude, this is great.
This is a good one.
I really enjoy these times, man. It's my favorite time of the month.
This one...
Not that I'm on my
as opposed to women who have that really rough time of the month.
I'm saying this is my favorite time of the month.
This one was my favorite one so far.
Awesome,
so we can keep building them from here.
Yeah.
This was a good one.
Always will. All right, brother.
All right, man. We'll sign out. We still don't have a name yet.
So yes, please comment below on a name you'd like to just put some names in, and the winner will get you'll get a 1 hour Zoom with me. I'll talk about anything in your life, anything you're dealing with. I'll make sure I'll give you thousands of dollars worth of value. PG, I'll think of some cool, awesome supplements, or just great stuff. He'll take his things, but we'll give you just take a guess, man. And, you can't win without trying.
Trying, exactly.
Yeah, throw it down. It might stimulate something.